It wasn't a big moment when I realized it. No announcement, no breakdown, no final conversation. I was standing in the hallway, holding my jacket, and I noticed there was nowhere I actually needed to go. No one waiting, no obligation pulling me forward. My name is Thomas. I'm 72 years old. And the strange thing is, everything important in my life didn't end with noise or drama. It ended quietly. So quietly that for a long time, I thought it was still there. I used to believe that the important parts of life announce themselves, that you'd know when something mattered most, that endings would come with warning. That belief stayed with me for decades. It made life easier, less fragile. I worked most of my adult life without questioning the rhythm of it. Wake up, dress, leave, return. I told myself this repetition meant stability, that consistency was a form of meaning, and for a long time it was enough. So I didn't chase excitement. I didn't expect joy to arrive suddenly. I believed life revealed itself slowly through responsibility. There were mornings when the world felt solid, predictable, as if everything had its place. I liked that feeling. What I didn't realize was that predictability can quietly replace presence. You stop noticing when something is slipping away, if it does so gently. I didn't lose my friends in arguments or tragedies. They drifted sideways out of my life. We changed schedules, moved houses, found ourselves busy in slightly different ways. At first we promised to stay connected. Then we promised less often. Then not at all. I remember running into someone I once considered essential to my life. We stood there awkwardly, searching for shared ground. There wasn't much left. We smiled. We wished each other well. And then we walked away, relieved it was over. That moment stayed with me longer than it should have, because I realized something then. Whatever we had was already gone. We were just late to notice. Work used to give my days a shape, even when it was exhausting. It gave time an edge. When I retired, people congratulated me, said I'd earned rest. Rest sounds comforting until it stretches too wide. At first, retirement felt temporary, like a long weekend. I woke early anyway, sat at the table with coffee growing cold, waited for the urgency to return. It didn't. Weeks passed quietly, then months. I told myself I was adjusting, but adjustment implies something new replaces what was lost. Nothing did. The phone rang less often, not because anyone was angry, just because I wasn't necessary anymore. That's a hard word to accept. Unnecessary. It doesn't mean unwanted. It just means optional. And optional things are the first to disappear. I began noticing how rarely my name was spoken aloud. Days would pass without hearing it. You don't miss sound until it's gone. I still had a home, still had health, mostly, still had food on the table, but the center of my life had thinned. I didn't notice the exact moment it happened. That's what unsettles me. If something important can end without being felt, what else have I already lost without knowing? I cleaned out a closet one afternoon, found old shoes worn in places I no longer recognize, a jacket I must have loved once. I tried to remember where I wore it, who I was with. Nothing came. Memory becomes selective as you age, not sentimental, just practical. It keeps what it needs and lets the rest go. That realization hurt more than I expected, because it meant some versions of me no longer exist anywhere, not even in my own mind. I used to think people would notice when I changed, that someone would say something. They didn't, because people are busy living their own lives. They don't watch you fade, they just move forward. Even relationships that mattered deeply ended without ceremony. No fights, no final conversations, just fewer calls, longer gaps, eventually silence. Silence isn't aggressive. That's why it's dangerous. It doesn't demand attention. It waits. I sit in rooms now that were once loud, not chaotic, just alive. There's a difference. Loudness has energy. Silence has weight. The weight presses differently at night. That's when memories return uninvited. Ordinary ones. A laugh at the wrong moment. A conversation cut short because I was tired. A choice to go home instead of staying. Nothing dramatic. Just small decisions that quietly shape the rest of my life. I don't regret my choices. Regret is too sharp a word. What I feel is awareness. Awareness arrives late. It arrives when there's no longer anything to fix. I once believed I'd recognize my best years while I was living them, that they'd feel different. They didn't. They felt like Tuesday afternoons, routine evenings, normal days, and then they were gone. The importance of them revealed itself only afterward. I see now that meaning doesn't announce itself. It blends in. By the time you realize something mattered, it has already ended. That's the quiet cruelty of time. It doesn't take things from you. It lets you walk past them. I don't wake up angry. I don't feel cheated. I just wake up aware that my life has narrowed. There are fewer places where I'm known, fewer spaces where my presence changes anything. And that's something no one prepares you for. You spend your life being useful. Then one day usefulness retires before you do. I still go outside, sit among people, listen. The world hasn't become empty, just distant. I watch others rush the way I used to. Certain their days are endless. I don't envy them. I understand them. If I could speak to my younger self, I wouldn't warn him. He wouldn't listen. We only learn these things when the noise fades. Now my days end quietly. My thoughts do too. There's no grand conclusion waiting for me. No final clarity. Just this steady awareness that everything important didn't vanish suddenly. It concluded gently, patiently. Until one day, I looked around and realized the silence was permanent. If this felt familiar, you don't have to respond. You can just sit with it for a moment, or leave a quiet thought below. I'm here, listening.